After 50 Cent posted that picture of T.I.'s wife on IG, King Harris clapped back in the worst way possible. He posted a photo of 50's mom's grave and told him to go dig her up.
So tell your dead mama dig her ass up and post a picture that look better than my motherfucking mama. What's wrong with you?
We all know 50's never gonna let that slide. Now he's attacking King Harris for that grave post, and things are getting ugly fast. Let's break it down. The post that started it all. On February 22nd, 2026, 50 Cent hopped on Instagram and posted a picture of Tiny Harris performing on stage. The photo was busted, the angle was off, the lighting was doing her dirty, and the whole thing looked like it was chosen specifically to make her look bad. And knowing 50 Cent, that's exactly why he picked it. He didn't throw it up on stories where it would vanish after a day. Nah, he dropped it right on his main feed, permanent, for the whole world to scroll past and comment on whenever they felt like it. The caption read, "I keep saying keep my name out your mouth, okay?" No tags, no extra commentary, no essay, just a flick in those words. Everybody and their mama knew that was a shot at T.I.
Responded by disrespecting T.I.'s family, more specifically T.I.'s wife, Tiny. 50 took to Instagram and posted a not so flattering photo of T.I.'s wife, Tiny.
Here's the thing though, Tiny hadn't done a single thing to 50 Cent. She wasn't on no podcast mentioning his name. She wasn't in nobody's comments going at him. She wasn't even tangentially involved in the back and forth. This was purely 50 using her image as a pawn to get at her husband because T.I. kept bringing up the Verzoos.
And she looks like, in a bad angle, and her body looks a little off. It's like a bad angled photo.
Now let's be clear about who Tiny Harris is. She ain't just T.I.'s wife. She's a founding member of Xscape, a group that was running R&B in the 90s with joints like Just Kickin' It and Who Can I Run To. She's been in the game for over 30 years. She got her own bag, her own legacy, her own TV shows, and 50 Cent reduced all of that to a bad photo op just to be petty.
50, he posts a picture of Tiny, and he says, "I keep saying keep my name out your mouth," and puts up like a shrug emoji and says, "Okay."
And that shrug emoji at the end, that was the cherry on top. He hit it with the emoji like it was just another Tuesday. Like putting another man's wife on blast to 30 million followers was light work, and he could do it in his sleep. But that post lit a fuse that burned real quick because T.I.'s oldest son caught wind of it within hours. And King Harris, who was only 21 at the time, didn't respond with no clever meme or no subliminal caption. He went straight for the jugular. King left a comment right under 50's post. Short and sweet. "Where you mama?" with the eyes emoji. Now, if you know anything about 50 Cent's background, you already know why that comment hit different. 50's mother has been dead since 1983. She was murdered when he was 8 years old, and King Harris just put that on Front Street for everybody in the comments to see. Then he took it even further. He jumped on his own Instagram and posted a photograph of Sabrina Jackson's actual headstone, 50 Cent's mother's grave. The stone had her name engraved on it. Birth year 1958, death year 1983. King tagged 50 Cent directly and wrote, "Yo, and dig up yo mama." Another version of the same caption said, "This where yo mama at." Then he hopped in his whip, hit record, and went on a full-blown rant across multiple Instagram stories.
I want to say something about my mama. Your mama dead as Your mama dead as
He was going off. No filter, no script, just pure uncut anger coming straight from the chest.
Go dig her up. Go dig her up. Post a picture of your mama. She dead. Pay respect.
Story after story, he kept the foot on the gas. He circled back to that headstone image again and reposted it with the caption, "E50 Cent, this is where you mama at."
Post my mama like your mama ain't dead as Go put some flowers on that grave.
The line in the sand was drawn. 50 posted Tiny. King posted 50's dead mother's grave, and then told a man who lost his mama at 8 years old to go dig her up out the ground.
Man, posting my mama legend, your mama Jay.
In one night, this thing went from internet trolling to some of the most foul, personal, below-the-belt disrespect hip-hop has seen in a minute. And the wild part is, the whole reason any of this jumped off traces back to a Verzoos battle that was supposed to be about celebrating music. Nothing more, nothing less. The Verzoos that never happened. The entire root of this beef sits on top of a conversation that allegedly went down in Los Angeles between T.I. and 50 Cent. According to T.I., the two of them were out in L.A., grinding on television and film deals, moving around in the same circles when somebody brought up the idea of a Verzoos. T.I. said they chopped it up face to face, came to an agreement on how it would play out, and then 50 Cent ghosted him like the whole conversation never happened. T.I. laid the whole story out on the $1 Million Worth of Game podcast with Gilly the King and Wallow 267. He ran through the timeline step by step. He said the original vision was clean. Two veterans from the South stepping up to celebrate each other's catalogs. No drama, no shade, just straight bars, hit records, and respect for the craft.
Okay, so first, it was really about celebrating each other's catalog. Me and them talk back there, bro.
T.I. broke down how it all went when they were kicking it out in L.A., pitching shows and being around each other in a professional setting.
We were moving around in L.A., man, selling some TV shows while we were around each other, man, you know what I mean? I said, what you think about this?
The way T.I. tells it, 50 Cent was rocking with the idea. They mapped out a game plan. T.I. would be the first one to go public and call 50 out for the Verzoos. Then 50 would co-sign it publicly, and they'd set the whole thing in motion from there. Simple play, clean execution. At least that was the blueprint.
I told him, I said, well, I'm gonna jump out there first, and then you just gonna jump out there and we'll line it up.
So T.I. held up his end. He went out there and did exactly what they discussed. He slid through Shannon Sharp's Nightcap podcast and put 50 Cent's name in the Verzoos conversation publicly.
I was supposed to go, and then goddamn, when I was talking to Swiss, I was like, man, yeah.
He made it clear on that show, he wanted the smoke with 50 Cent in a Verzoos format, and he felt like 50 was running from it.
I said I wanted 50, that's what I said. He don't want no smoke though.
But when T.I. jumped out there first like they agreed on, 50 Cent left him hanging. Acted like no conversation ever took place, played the whole thing off like T.I. was just some random dude, calling him out with no prior communication. And that's when T.I. went from being frustrated about a Verzoos to being frustrated about 50 Cent's character as a man.
When I jump out there, act like he ain't know what the going on.
For T.I., the whole dynamic shifted. It wasn't about the Verzoos no more. It was about integrity. If 50 didn't want to do the battle, cool. Just keep it a buck and say that. But don't agree behind closed doors and then switch up when the cameras are on.
Oh, look, I don't even want to, man. Cause now I question your character.
You could hear how deep it cut. T.I. went from wanting to share the stage with 50 to wanting absolutely nothing to do with him. Not as collaborators, not as peers, not even as two dudes who could stand in the same room.
I don't think, man, that shit ain't gonna happen. That shit ain't gonna happen, man. I don't want to stand on stage with him.
And then T.I. dropped the bar that traveled through every blog and comment section for weeks.
I had no interest in standing on stage with that. I don't respect.
Now from where 50 Cent was sitting, the whole picture looked different. 50 had been publicly ducking the Verzoos concept for years. He called Verzoos a platform that only mattered during the pandemic and made it crystal clear that he was on some next level business vibes. TV shows, film projects, brand deals. He hadn't dropped an album since 2014. Music wasn't his bread and butter anymore. It was a chapter he had turned the page on. His responses to T.I.'s callouts were typical 50, terse, dismissive, and dripping with that signature trolling energy. He kept posting, "Keep my name out your mouth," all over Instagram with the shrug, emoji, memes, and short captions designed to make T.I. look like he was begging for attention from someone who couldn't care less. But things got uglier when 50 Cent started dropping the King Rat tag on T.I. in Instagram comments, implying cooperation with law enforcement, which in hood terminology is one of the worst things you can call somebody. T.I. wasn't having it. He snapped back immediately, writing, "You playing on my name when only one of us a rat in real life. You know I got your paperwork right," and told 50 to either step in the Verzoos ring or pipe down. By the time February 22nd pulled up, the beef had been bubbling for weeks through podcast appearances, comment section warfare, and back and forth subliminals. The Verzoos, that was supposed to honor two catalogs, had now birthed a feud ugly enough to drag in family members who ain't have nothing to do with none of it. The story of Sabrina Jackson. To really grasp why King Harris's response hit so different and why damn near everybody in hip-hop cringed when they saw it, you gotta understand who Sabrina Jackson was and what happened to her. Because this ain't no story about some celebrity's mom who passed away from natural causes and got a nice funeral with flowers everywhere. This is about a woman who was murdered, and her killer was never caught. Sabrina Jackson was born around 1958 in the South Jamaica section of Queens, New York City. She brought Curtis Jackson into the world, the man the planet now knows as 50 Cent, when she was just 15 years old. From jump, she was doing it by herself. No partner, no co-parent, just a teenage girl in one of the roughest neighborhoods in the city, trying to figure out how to keep her baby alive and fed.
My mother passed when I was like 8 years old. I went to live with my grandparents. But she had me when she was 15.
To put food on the table and keep a roof overhead, Sabrina got into the drug game in the neighborhood. This was South Jamaica, Queens, smack in the middle of the early crack wave that was tearing through the city in the late 70s and early 80s. The options for a teenage single mother in that zip code were thin, and she chose the hustle because that's what the environment demanded.
So at that point, she started hustling to be able to provide for me at that point.
50 Cent has talked about how his mother raised him on multiple occasions throughout his career, and every account paints the same picture. She was tough as nails, no coddling, no soft approaches. She ran that household like she ran the block, with authority and zero tolerance for weakness. In his own words, she was both his mother and his father. He's told a story about how she used to stuff toys into socks to make weapons for him to take to schoolyard scraps, her way of making sure her son could hold his own out there in those streets. Another story he shared is about a time when little Curtis was on the floor crying, and Sabrina told him to get up and quit acting like a little girl. That was her love language. That was the only toolkit she had for raising a boy in that environment. Then in 1983, Sabrina Jackson was killed. She was somewhere around 24 or 25 years old. Curtis Jackson was exactly 8.
And she got killed when I was like 8 years old.
So when you say hustling, she was involved with what? She was...
Yeah, selling drugs.
Selling drugs?
Yeah.
The way she died is haunting, and the case has never been closed in over 4 decades. According to 50 Cent's own consistent retellings across interviews going back to the mid-2000s, somebody slipped something into Sabrina's drink to knock her out cold inside her apartment, then turned on the gas deliberately. She died from the carbon monoxide mixed with the fire that followed. When police showed up and assessed the scene, they clocked it as a suspected homicide immediately. The combination of a drugged victim and intentionally manipulated gas lines pointed straight to foul play. Nobody was ever arrested. Not a single suspect was ever named publicly. No motive was ever officially released. The case sits cold to this day. More than 42 years after it happened, there are no public police reports, no coroner's findings, and no investigative updates that have ever seen the light of day. Every specific detail the public knows about Sabrina Jackson's death comes directly from 50 Cent's own words as an adult looking back on what went down during his childhood. After Sabrina was gone, 8-year-old Curtis got taken in by his maternal grandparents. His grandmother, Beulah Jackson, and his grandfather raised him in a modest crib in the same South Jamaica neighborhood, packed in with roughly 8 other family members under one roof. His biological father had already dipped out before Sabrina died. His grandparents were all he had left. 50 Cent has said in interviews that after he lost his mother, every single time life dealt him a bad hand, the same thought would hit him. If my mother was here, it wouldn't be like that. He got a tattoo on his right forearm that reads, Sabrina, with Ghetto Angel, inked alongside it. A permanent piece dedicated to the woman who held him down for the first 8 years of his life before she was ripped away. Sabrina Jackson is buried at Rockville Cemetery in Lynbrook, Nassau County, New York. That is the exact grave that King Harris found, photographed, and uploaded to Instagram for millions of people to gawk at. That is the headstone he threw on the internet and told 50 Cent to dig up. Why King Harris went that far. King Harris is 21 years old. His government name is Clifford King Harris Jr., and he's the eldest biological son of T.I. and Tiny Harris. Born August 26, 2004 in Atlanta, Georgia, this kid has never known a single day of life outside the public spotlight because of who his parents are and the entertainment empire they built around their family. He grew up with cameras everywhere. He was on T.I. and Tiny, The Family Hustle, from the time the show premiered in 2011. He watched his pops navigate beefs, catch cases, close business deals, and handle public heat, all while the reality TV crew was rolling in their living room. And he watched his mother get celebrated as a founding member of Xscape, one of the coldest R&B groups of the 90s, while simultaneously being the backbone of the Harris household. King's been chasing his own music career under the name Kid Sion, putting out singles and freestyles that carry the DNA of the world he was raised in. But the public has always clocked him first and foremost as T.I.'s son, the firstborn boy in a family that moves as a unit, especially when it comes to having Tiny's back.
King, let me ask you a question, man. Do you feel any type of pressure?
You know, they say pressure make diamond.
He's spoken openly about the weight of carrying T.I.'s name, the expectations people throw on him, the constant comparisons to his father, the microscope that follows every move he makes. T.I. himself has reportedly told King that he sees himself in his son, specifically the version of himself that made the most mistakes.
You know what I'm saying? I don't fold under pressure, I apply under pressure.
That boy quick on his feet, ain't he?
Yeah, I'm the more, as he was saying, I'm him when he made his most mistake.
Despite all that, King ain't just somebody's kid anymore. He's a father himself now. He's got a son, and he's talked publicly about trying to build independence and toughness in his child, the same qualities his own parents poured into him growing up.
I be trying to let my son get his, build his, like, him able to keep his own attention span.
So when 50 Cent dropped that busted photo of Tiny Harris on his feed, King's mother, the woman he has called a legend multiple times in public, the response was instant and emotional. King didn't stop to think about strategy. He didn't call a PR team. He didn't weigh the pros and cons of going nuclear on social media. He saw a grown man with 30 million followers putting his mama on blast to embarrass her, and something inside him snapped. The problem wasn't that he reacted. Any son would react if a grown man publicly disrespected their mother. The problem was where the reaction went. Instead of keeping it about 50 Cent's character, or clapping back about the Verzuz situation, or even just going off in the comments with some heat, King went to the darkest, most painful, most sacred place he could possibly find. He tracked down 50 Cent's dead mother's gravesite and threw it on the internet for everybody to see.
Playing like that, going like that. How y'all raised? I'm not raised like that. I don't go. I'm not going about my mama.
And there's a real thick layer of irony sitting right on top of that statement. King said, "I'm not raised like that," while in the same breath telling a man to go dig up his deceased mother's remains. He positioned himself on moral high ground while standing in one of the deepest moral ditches hip-hop etiquette recognizes, disrespecting somebody's dead parent. One YouTuber who covered the situation acknowledged King's anger, but predicted there would be some parental accountability coming behind closed doors.
Now T.I.'s son then jumped in the mix. I ain't even mad at him for defending his mom. Now, do I think that this will go to some crazy level of some shit? No.
He went on to say that T.I. and Tiny would most likely pull King to the side privately and get him together. Because regardless of how justified his anger was, the grave post crossed a line that even the Harris family wouldn't typically stand behind.
Tiny or T.I. is definitely going to check him on that because they not them type of people.
Now, hip-hop has a long and well-documented track record of family members getting pulled into beefs. Tupac told the world he slept with Biggie's wife Faith Evans on Hit 'Em Up. Jay-Z got graphic about an affair with Nas's baby mother, Carmen Bryan, on Super Ugly, and that move was so foul that Jay-Z's own mother called in to Hot 97 and made him apologize on air. Carmen Bryan herself has spoken about the fallout and the damage it caused.
Well, first of all, when Super Ugly came out and we heard it, everybody was like, "You corny."
Carmen talked about how Jay-Z regretted dropping that record almost as soon as it hit the airwaves. The emotional, knee-jerk nature of the response, going after someone's family just to score points in a rap beef, boomeranged on him in ways that stuck for years afterward.
Jay-Z's never been in any of our vehicles. So, you know, that was just him just grasping at things and just trying to, you know, make an instant comeback.
The parallels to King Harris are hard to miss. When emotions are running scorching hot and someone feels like their family has been violated, the instinct is to escalate as fast and as hard as humanly possible. But what comes after that escalation, the backlash, the regret, or both, almost always overshadows the initial anger that sparked it. Jay-Z learned that lesson the hard way back in 2001. Whether King Harris absorbs it in 2026 is still an open question. T.I. drops a diss track and 50 Cent laughs. While the internet was still processing King Harris's gravesite photos and heated video rants, T.I. decided to make his own play. Within hours of his son's explosive outburst, late on the evening of February 22nd, rolling into the early hours of February 23rd, 2026, T.I. slid into the studio and cooked up a brand new diss track that he positioned as an official declaration of war. The beat came from DJ Tump, the same legendary producer who laced some of T.I.'s most iconic bangers throughout his career. What You Know, Bring 'Em Out, and a whole catalog of Southern trap classics that helped define a generation of hip-hop all had Tump's fingerprints on them. And this new joint carried that same menacing energy, brooding synths stacked on top of thundering bass and crisp, militant trap percussion that hit with the sonic force of a man who was not playing around whatsoever. T.I. uploaded a preview of the track straight to his Instagram with the caption, "OU NI 66 as want war? 8, we on that. got to write one diss time. The duck emoji was a deliberate callback to earlier comments where T.I. had labeled 50 Cent a duck, hood slang for somebody who ducks confrontation and hides behind excuses. The hashtag implied that this time around, T.I. felt like he had located the perfect target to unleash his lyrical fury on.
T.I. then decided to go on his Instagram page and promote a new track, and this track somewhat sounds like he's dissing 50.
The snippet clocked in at roughly 30 to 60 seconds, showcasing T.I. spitting aggressive, confrontational bars in that unmistakable Atlanta cadence he's been known for since the trap music days. While the complete lyrics didn't get fully transcribed in early reports because it was just a preview clip, the content clearly referenced ongoing disrespect, willingness to go the distance in confrontation, and fierce protection of his family unit. He didn't drop 50 Cent's name explicitly in the audible portion, but every single person who heard it knew precisely who the target was.
There's no direct names. It might just be a cut off his upcoming album because the album's title is Kill the King.
Some folks in the culture speculated that the track might have already existed as a cut from T.I.'s forthcoming album that he strategically unleashed because the timing was too perfect to waste. Others believed it was a genuine fresh out the booth session that T.I. recorded in the heat of the moment after watching his son go to war on Instagram. Regardless of which version is true, the timing was calculated. Dropping a war-themed record mere hours after your son posted a dead woman's headstone on the internet is not a coincidence by any stretch. The hip-hop community's reaction split right down the middle. On one side, people saluted T.I. for handling his business the way a real MC is supposed to, through music. In the grand tradition of rap beefs, a diss track has always been the most respected form of clapping back. It takes all that raw, unfiltered emotion and channels it into something artistic, something that lives on in the culture's permanent record. Pusha T did it with The Story of Adidon. Kendrick Lamar did it with Meet the Grams. And now T.I. was stepping up to the plate with War. But the other side of the reaction was significantly more critical. A sizable portion of commentators viewed the diss track as T.I. essentially co-signing or amplifying what King Harris had already done rather than stepping in to cool the situation down. Instead of pulling up on his son as a father, checking him privately, and shutting down the grave disrespect before it spiraled further, T.I. hit the studio and made the whole situation into a musical event. The optics were messy. It looked like the entire Harris camp was running a full-court press, with the son attacking the gravesite and the father attacking the microphone.
So I think that, that is more of a way for them to check him on the space of like how you carry yourself versus how this carries himself. Now, we all could agree, let's keep it 1,000. That shit 50 did was whack.
One thing that virtually everybody agreed on, regardless of which side they were riding with, was the starting point of all this chaos. 50 Cent drew first blood by posting Tiny. T.I. had kept the entire conversation about music for weeks leading up to this moment. He talked about Verzuz, about hit records, about who had the stronger catalog. He never once went after 50 Cent's personal life, his family, his street reputation, or any of the low-hanging fruit that has always been available in any 50 Cent beef. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed watching this video, click on one of the boxes playing on your screen to watch more similar content.